Hey guys, welcome to session number 52 of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Pretty good. One man with one microphone, whose favorite meditation is the meditation on twin hearts. Welcome to the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another session of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Today I would like to cover something I suppose a delicate matter in the life and mindset of a composer, and that is dealing with anxiety. I'm going to put a little caveat to the start. That sounded ominous, didn't it? Zoop! No, don't go there, chaps. That was just my coat. Now, I'd like to sort of put a caveat at the start of this. Obviously, I'm not a healthcare professional. This isn't, advice that's to be taken like a prescription or this isn't medical advice. If you have serious issues, go seek the help of a healthcare professional. There we go. So, anxiety. My friend, anxiety. Now, let's just put this in a whole. I'm going to be really open with you guys. In my life, I have suffered from tremendous anxiety, panic attacks, and bouts of depression. Hey, there we go. Thankfully, almost all of that is gone and past. But sadly, lots of people still suffer from anxiety and or depressive episodes, and if you are feeling in that secondary camp, depression, I would seek to get some help about that, because that can be, well, as can anxiety. But if you're feeling particularly worried about your air quotes episodes, maybe seek some help. The thing that saved, in fact, it's been a couple of things that have been really, really helpful for me over the period of my life getting through these negative episodes, has been twofold. And that was some CBD, cognitive behavioural, CBT, therapy, CBD oil, whoops, no, not that, cognitive behavioural therapy and pranic healing. In fact, the latter, the pranic healing, has been pretty life-changing for me. So, let's rewind a little bit. Anxiety, why is this an issue for us composers? Partly because we're human, and partly because, we work on our own, mostly. And we are expected to be all elements of our career, We are the boss, we're the intern, we're human resources, we're marketing, we're everything under the sun for ourselves. And it can be very, very stressful, and especially when there's an attachment of the ego in what you're doing. And I'm not saying that derivatively. I'm saying it in an honest way, because when I have attached myself to the music, there is always an attachment of the self. When I have attached myself, I have attached my ego. Then that's when it can get a little bit tough, with rejections and feedback and changes, etc., etc., etc. But we have to deal with all sorts of emotional stuff in our work. And sometimes, sometimes it just becomes overwhelming. I've been there plenty of times when, you're kind of on the up, and publishers get in touch with you, other composers get in touch with you, you're like, yes, I'll take on all of these projects, and before you realise it, you're completely overwhelmed and stressing out. Your writing ability goes down, your speed goes down, your negative episodes go up in frequency and intensity. It's all too much. And some people can experience panic attacks, like I said, depressive episodes, or other elements of anxiety related, don't want to say disorders, anxiety-related things, and it sucks. But I wanted to do this episode because I wanted to reach out to you guys and say, hey, I've been there, guys. It is really hard, and it sometimes feels like you get to the point where, why am I even doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? This was supposed to be fun, you know? This was supposed to be like my dream job where I'd sort of wake up laughing with joy and, you know, open the windows and whistle and birds would come and land on me and, you know, in a kind of like Disney princess type of way, but more masculine for me, hopefully. But I found myself in this sort of mire of overwhelm and stress, which, you know, this is the sort of first stage, and then the anxiety kicks in after the stress, and then other things come in and followed through with the anxiety, and it just becomes too much. It feels like you are suffocating. I know, I've been there, and it's not a nice place to be. So I wanted to kind of reach out and be like, guys, I've been there. Now what you need to do is, these things will help. These aren't the be-all and end-all, but these are little things that I have found have helped to deal with anxiety. The first one, and this is a really important one for me, is your phone. I always know when I'm in a bad mental place when I check my phone all the time. If I'm checking my phone all the time, it's not out of like an honest, like my deepest, truest self. My soul is not saying, hey, this is your higher meaning on earth. Check Facebook again. You know, that's not, it's out of an insecurity. Has anyone replied to me? Has anyone commented on my post? Have I got any likes? Have I got any emails? You know, there's this like panic that's behind checking my phone. So the first one, guys, become aware of your phone usage. Like, it is an amazing tool, but you must be in control of it. So I find myself going in spouts of, when I'm feeling overwhelmed, like deleting all my social media apps off my phone, so that I at least take what's the word I'm looking for? Not the signal. The signal will do. Take the signal out of the situation. Take the catalyst out. If I can't check it on my phone, I'm less likely to pick up my phone, especially if I have to log in through like my internet, Explorer thing or Chrome or whatever. I have to log in. Oh, I don't want to do that. They make it all too easy to check everything. If you find yourself on your phone a lot, it is not doing you any favours. Either put a huge password on the sign up, take off the Face ID, take off the fingerprint thing and put a massively long password in. Believe me, it works, because you're like, oh, I don't have to type in this huge password. Okay, I won't bother. Just put little preventative measures to stop you checking your phone. The reason I'm doing this, because the connection between social media and anxiety and depression is phenomenal. It's a wonderful tool, don't get me wrong, it's amazing. But we must understand the other negative effects and implications it has on our life. If you are checking your phone too much, you're probably not in your best place. Right? And this extends to checking your emails. Like, emails, for me and for many people, I made the mistake on one episode of this podcast being like, I don't get that many emails. Vroom. All of a sudden my inbox was absolutely crammed, and I was like, oh no, what a muppet. Why would I say that? So, guys, I'm not a huge fan of emails. In fact, actually any correspondence really, but emails can become a huge source of overwhelm, and it's not even our work, is it? I mean, really, it's an element of our work, and the reason it becomes such an element of our work is because we're working with international people. That sounds like International Man of Mystery. We're working with people internationally, I should say. We're working with people in America, in Asia, in Australia, in Europe, in London. You know, it feels cool, but then, because of the time zone difference, you'll get emails 24 hours a day. And if you are not careful about checking and filtering your responses, it can become a huge part of your work, which isn't your work. You know, I was listening to a podcast with the creators of Riot Games, you know, League of Legends, and they were talking about how they'd sort of sold a huge portion of their company, and the interviewer said, oh yeah, so now you got enough money to just do whatever you want, do the thing you really care about. And I was thinking about that. I was thinking, yeah, that's really funny, isn't it? Because actually, a lot of us aim for these huge money goals so that we don't have to do the stuff we don't want to do. And emails, as much as they are a necessity, can sometimes become a part of something that we don't want to do. And that can bring in anxiety and unnecessary stress. So be wary of checking those. Set times for it, or you know, set rules in Gmail. That's always something I've wanted to do. You know, set rules like when this person emails, send this response automatically. You know, that type of thing. Because sometimes people email and they don't necessarily need a response, but you know. As a part of my personality, I feel like I need to be the last person to say, thanks, great, cheers, have a nice day. And they're like, thanks, great, cheers, have a nice day too. And they're like, yeah, you too, thanks, buddy. And then before I realise it, I've sent like 6 thank you emails, which is probably a nice thing, but it's definitely not necessary, creating more work for myself. And the reason I'm talking about emails is because, again, they can bring that sense of overwhelm. And I think, actually, if I'm honest with you, social media and emails, these wonderful tools we have, I honestly think are the root of so many anxieties that we all suffer from. Whether that is the content that is contained within the emails, because, you know, sometimes everyone's idea of what a good etiquette is in an email is different. Or someone who doesn't speak your language emails in a way that you're like, well, that's rude. You know, they haven't signed off. Best sincerely regards, you know. Where's the proper letter format? You know, that sometimes it can be perceived incorrectly. And then all of a sudden you find yourself wasting your time worrying or angry or whatever just from having read an email. And this is again tied with my phone, you know, being able to check your emails. If I'm sort of out and about with my family, I'm like, oh, why not just check my emails? And I'm like, oh no, I've got a work email. And then all of a sudden this urgency appears in my life that doesn't need to be there. Just because someone has emailed me doesn't mean they have to get a response straight away. And even if they say they need a response straight away, they can wait. You know, if there's anything that being a parent has taught me, it's that adults need boundaries stated as clearly as toddlers do. You know, just because we kind of get this idea that, oh, adults know what they're doing and all this stuff. No, we don't. We need boundaries too. We need to. If someone is clear with their boundaries, it makes it easier for us. If we're like, oi, I'm not working, I'll reply when I get back, then they have to deal with it. So think about that. With regard to emails, with regard to social media, maybe set your boundaries more clearly. Okay, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, okay, this is all good, Rich, when I'm in a good place. But what about when I'm actually suffering from an episode of anxiety, you know, or panic attack, or something terrible? Obviously, if you're having a panic attack, there's not much I can do for you right now. Yeah, just calm. You know, they're scary moments, panic attacks. And what can you do in the midst of all this mess? First thing, switch off that phone. Second thing, like, put some kind of lock on your computer so that you cannot check anything. Cut off that connection, all those unnecessary connections. You don't have to post on Instagram. You don't have to do any of that stuff. It's all self-imposed work. If you think about it like, what is the 20% of my time that earns me the 80% of your money? It's probably not social media. And if it is social media, it's advertising, which is going on its own anyway. You don't need to worry about it. So if you're having one of those episodes, you've got to think about this. Okay, the first thing is getting back into your body, guys. Not like that. I mean like exercise, breathing, meditating. You need to move and you need to feel silence. Those two things. Exercise is fantastic for kind of like bringing you out of the kind of like the more agitated state. And then meditation is great for bringing you back. Silence and breathing, great for bringing you back into that state. So if you are in that, you want to move, you want to get silent. Of those two things, they will help. Of course, you have already cut off from, the social media and all that stuff, so you don't need to worry about it. Like, at the end of the day, the most important part of my work, for me, is writing my music. If I'm doing that, great. Everything else is extras, because that's what it is, and you need to think about that in your life. Okay, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, what is it? It could be, the overwhelm could be brought about by a relationship, or or the actual work that you're doing. I have frequent overwhelm episodes when I'm writing. And that might be brought on by poor time management on my part, or poor time management on the publisher's part, whichever. And that's when those boundaries are really important. Now, the other thing. If any of you guys don't know Brené Brown, you should check her out. She's amazing. She kind of talks about the stress of life, when we're feeling unhappy or anxious or stressed or sad. First thing you need to do is check your sleep. Are you getting enough sleep? Have you eaten? Have you drunk enough water? And have you exercised? That's moving, bringing it back to your body, right? It's like my kids. Oh, they're getting a bit cranky. Oh, that's because they're tired, or because they're hungry. Give them a bit of give them some fruit. Oh, they've calmed down. Magic. It's the same with us. Sometimes that anxiety is kind of brought about by being hungry and tired. Nothing. I mean, when I used to write part-time, I'd be teaching on sort of 3 days a week, and then I'd have 2 days a week to write music. And on those 2 days a week, I would nap. Because I noticed a pattern in the afternoon. I would get sad and critical and stressed. So if I napped, I'd be like, hey, this is great. I was just tired. It's really energetically demanding work, writing music, especially when you're pushing your boundaries. So, and the other thing she mentioned, so it's sort of sleeping, eating, drinking, exercising, and I'm adding sort of meditating and silence or prayer or whatever you want to call it into that. She then talks about this fifth thing, which would be sixth on my list, which is you have not upheld a boundary that is important to you. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's life-changing. That is something that I know brings about a huge percentage of my stress. I state a boundary that someone pushes. Like, for instance, I'm not going to give you a real-world example, but a pretend example would be, hey, I don't work on Thursdays. And then I get an email saying, hey, I need this work done on Thursday. I say no, and they say, yes, we need it, it's really important. And I say, okay, I will do that. And all of a sudden, I feel angry, anxious, sad, all this horrible cocktail of emotions, and I didn't know why. Why? I'm getting to write training music for a living. Why am I getting all this? Because I didn't uphold my boundary. I didn't say, no, I don't work on Thursdays, I can do this tomorrow. It's really important. And the problem was that for me, I think this was the same for you guys as well, is I was so worried that I would burn a bridge that was important to my career that I tended to say yes to everything. I would be like, yes, I'll do that, yes, I'll do that, yes, I'll do that. Even when I was working with clients that were an absolute pain in the arse, and it was taking me huge amounts of time to do the work for them because they were so picky or pedantic with their requests, and I was so worried that I was gonna cut something off that could potentially have earned me my, monetary goal or social goal. But actually, when I stopped saying yes to everything and started being discerning about my boundaries in my work, it freed me up tremendously. Do you know what? Actually, sometimes it feels great to be like, no, no, thank you, I'm busy. And actually, this is the thing that really surprised me, and it kind of revealed a lot about setting boundaries. Boundaries are funny. People are funny with boundaries. Some people, when they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we would like you to get on board with this new project," and I emailed and said, "Very kind of you, thank you, but no, I'm focusing on this at the moment." Most people were like, "Yeah, of course, no worries, thanks for letting us know." Some people were like, "Well, you're missing out on a huge opportunity," and they'd just come back with all this spiel. I'm like, oh, well, that's quite revealing. So that one is actually a really tough one to follow through with. So be wary of that. Are people or are things in your life not respecting your boundaries? And that's why I talk about phones and emails and stuff, because you yourself might not be respecting a boundary. Before you know it, you'll be sat on the toilet checking your email. What am I doing checking my email on the toilet? This is ridiculous. I should be focusing on my number 2 right now. It's just ridiculous. Because sometimes you are the worst culprit of not upholding those boundaries. And the reason being, it takes willpower. And willpower is a finite resource. So they've done some amazing studies on willpower and how actually it is an energy that we start the day with, almost like a willpower bar. And every time we have to uphold a boundary, it drains a little bit of our willpower. So that's why you'll find yourself reaching for the beer at the end of the day, or reaching for the pack of chocolate at the end of the day, or whatever it is your vice is towards the end of the day, because your willpower's gone. You're like, I just can't be bothered to fight anymore. I just want to curl up in a bowl of beer and watch TV. And that's fine. Switching off is good. But understanding why you're doing it, again, it's that why, really important. So yes, those are my 5 things to help deal with anxiety. Actually, it's 6 things, wasn't it? It's like I said, kids and adults, we can learn a lot from kids. If they're well slept, well fed, well watered, and getting out and moving, then they are their best selves. And so are we. You could add time for yourself into this list as well, but that's 4 things. Make sure you get enough sleep, enough food, enough water, enough exercise. Such obvious tips. And obviously you can extend the food and drink tips for making sure you're actually eating things that are good for your body. I know it's easy to reach for the Haribo sweets in the afternoon, but you know what? It's not going to do you any favours. Reach for a bag of nuts. Not like that. You need to make sure that you're putting the right things into your body. And that goes for thoughts too. Oh gosh, this is so deep and wide, this subject of mindset and looking after yourself and dealing with life. So there we go. And then we have this meditation, this silence, this breath work, this prayer. That needs to be on your list too. That's number 5. Make sure you're doing those things. And then we extend to number 6, which is upholding those boundaries. And I started with this, which would be switch off your phone. Don't do work when you're not supposed to be working. And this is one I am always striving to be better at. I might say to you, I only work a few hours a day. It doesn't mean I don't check my phone, which is quite a toxic pattern. because then it sets my mind going into work mode when I should be in fun dad mode or cleaning man mode or whatever mode I'm in. Boundaries. Check those boundaries. If you're on top of these 6 things, you will find yourself dealing with anxiety a lot better, a lot more appropriately. You know, the boundary one is huge, because that is when, if you keep your boundaries, your work and life balance will be healthy. And this is actually one of the reasons why I stopped saying yes to custom work in trailers, because I'm in the UK time zone, right? Which means that I could work on a custom in my daytime, send it off, and then at 6 o'clock in the evening they would say, hey, great, let's get changes for tomorrow morning, which means that I would then work through the night, wake up, and then they would have fed back. And you know, and I know I've spoken to other composers in the UK time zone who find this difficult too. This, like, actually, although it's an advantage that we get an extra 12 hours, we're not sort of superhumans. Although, are we? But no, we're not. We can't keep up that level of work. It becomes hugely overwhelming, hugely tiring, hugely stressful. That's one of the reasons I stopped, because I thought, actually, I don't want my evenings to be constant, like, hey, work! Now you've spent a day working, work some more. I don't want that. Like, I only want that if they're basically emailing to say, hey, your track's basically signed off, can you change this? Okay, I'll do that, that's fine. Just in case there's any editors or supervisors listening who are thinking of using a Richard Schreiber cue on their trailers and just want an amendment. But the boundary thing is huge, and this is like across the board. You take those 6 things in any area of your life: sleeping, eating, drinking, exercising, silence, boundaries. You keep those healthy and balanced in all aspects of your life, and you will find yourself, firstly, being less often stressed, and secondly, being better equipped to deal with stress and anxiety. Right. I hope it has been some kind of warm pat on the back, or, you know, gentle man hug to say, dudes, I get it. Like, I have suffered from those things too. Anxiety attacks, bouts of depression, you know, that kind of like tremendous hopelessness that you sometimes feel. And I've talked about this before, being a creative person, we are more sensitive, so we are more open to all aspects of emotion, which means that sometimes we feel the lows a lot more than most. So I've been there, guys, and I want to kind of share with you the things that have meant that I've largely removed them from my life, or if they're not removed from my life, I deal with them a lot better, or at least I have an awareness as to why it might have cropped up, at which point I go, okay, phone off. Much better. Right, thank you so much for listening, guys. As ever, you want to learn how to write trailer music, the art of writing trailer music, from creating your own sound design to writing in a full orchestral cue or dramatic piano cue or epic hybrid cue, head on over to the Trailer Music School, where you can find my courses there, and our community, of course. Once you have purchased, you'll get access to that community as well. And if you want to take your career to the next level, where you can learn how to write in a multitude of genres with feedback from industry professionals and the weekly opportunities to get your work published, then join the waitlist for our September launch, September 21 launch that is, at protege.school. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. You guys are absolute legends, and I do hope that none of you are suffering from anxiety or depression. And if you are suffering from it in any way, shape or form, however mildly, I do hope this has helped. And remember, if it's really severe, go speak to somebody and see if you can get some help. Take care, guys. Much love. Speak to you next week.